Hi everyone. So right now, I just went and picked up our beef from the butcher shop, and this is our Qurbani meat for this year. And meat couldn't be any fresher. It's just so tender, so beautiful. One thing that they do here in Canada is the butchers cut chunks of the meat. They won't make it into curry pieces, and that's kind of like our job. So we weigh the meat up into 3 different portions. 1/3 goes to the poor. Our contribution to the poor is already completed and bagged up and packaged, ready to go for the mosque. And then this portion is for myself that we're keeping at home, and we're gonna eat it throughout the year. Probably lasts us a couple of months. We do eat a lot of beef. Right now I'm just slicing and slicing up the meat. And then we've got another portion that we gave to family and friends. This time around we're skipping on friends. So this is just family this time around. Next time we will do both family and friends again. One of the things about the meat here is that it's just cut up, and what we need to do is slice it and kind of piece it up nicely for biryanis and in curries. And that's my goal right now, is make them into cookable portions, packet them, put them aside. You get a fairly nice portion of the liver, so you get a 1/7 of the liver of the cow. This is just a pure beef fat, so it's really delicious too, of course. Purest form of fat that you can get. So yeah, you get a portion of the liver, but you don't get the tongue, the head, and the tail, the ox tail. You don't get that unless you're actually on site, because those do rot quicker. You don't get the lung, and you don't get the cow brain. So those are a couple of things that we miss out on in Canada. We just don't have access to it unless you're in the farm. I do have a cousin who goes to the farm, and some friends who do go to the farm and does their own halal slaughter themselves. Maybe one day, inshallah, I'll be able to do that. Right now, we're sticking to the Afghan butcher shop, Dubai meat shop on Gerrard Street East. Really good people. They even gave me more bags to fill up my meat. So here's a bunch of steaks that we got. So a couple of ribeyes, a couple of T-bones. It's about 4 pounds, 5 pounds of steaks. It's pretty good, heavy, thick cuts too. So I won't be doing it on a pan, it'll go straight on my grill. And this is the chunks of bones for 1/3. So we got 2 more times of this, so total about this much of beef bones. So we kept some for ourselves, gave some to the poor, and gave some to our family. And here's more beef that I'm going to chop up right now. I'm just going to start piecing them up. Here's about 3 pounds. So I'm going to pack each of these into 1.5 pound portions, because we're only 2 people, and we want to make sure that whatever portions we have, it is just enough for us for a couple of meals. So sometimes we don't like to cook bulk, we like to cook fresh. So this looks good for 1 meal, Hiba?
Yes.
This looks good. All right. So this is gonna go for one of our pounder bags. So a little bit more than a pound, probably 1.2 pounds. I'm just gonna tie it up and put this here, and then I'm gonna make mini bags like this. So this is another cool thing about doing a slaughter is you've got the tendon pieces here, right? Really good for your soups. And then you've got the fat, the cow fat itself. I couldn't recommend any other fat than this pure beef animal fat, right? It's so creamy, delicious, and a lot of people might not know this. When beef fat is cooked well, it tastes like ghee, tastes like butter, right? And you'd only know it if you know your meat really well and you have a personal touch and a connection to your meat. So I grew up doing this for fun and obviously for religious purposes with my family. And having a personal touch with the food that you consume is really important. So one day, inshallah, I will be able to have even probably a couple of cows that I raise, remotely, it's then slaughtered at the end of the year. That's the sacrifice, right? The story dates back to the time of Abraham, and Abraham was gonna sacrifice who? Ishmael, right? I think Ishmael. But he didn't, and instead God placed a lamb or a goat, or I don't know whatever the animal was at that time. And that's what this is all about. Sacrifice, learning to sacrifice, and giving back to the community. We have to keep in mind that we make so many different types of sacrifices for our loved ones and the world that we live in, and this is just another form of it for those who are not able to do it that way. And we learn, we grow, and just essentially connect with the fundamentals and the roots of where food comes from for us. We're so distant from it all. Like, I've had friends come and tell me like they find our slaughter processes to be barbaric, which is pretty stupid. I mean, a chicken, about 5 chickens would grow in a small little cage as big as this little coffee pot here, right? So these are free run cows. I think they're from a farm close to Mississauga. This is a shank piece. It's a little bit harder. This will be cooked in, most likely not biryani, it's more for beef curries, only because it takes time to render and break down the meat there. But I'm just making nice pieces, powder bags, so that come cooking time, we know exactly how much meat to put into which dish, right? So this is like some of the bone tissue. You need to be careful about these. They're tasty when you cook it down. This is pure beef fat, so I'm separating the fat. So each bag of mine will have some fat, so that whenever you cook it down, the meat's delicious, the curry is delicious. So that's one portion again. And with this portion, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take a bag like this that's already being used, and I'm gonna go straight into my bone bag over here. Just scoop up a few blindly, not think too much about it. Throw them in my bag. A few more, throw them in this bag. So I've got 4 pieces of bones there, and I'm gonna throw in the rest of the meat. You have to know how to portion well, otherwise you're not gonna cook the delicious biryani and the curry that you're used to. Because when you buy beef at the store, the fat is taken out, and you're buying a watered down version of this meat. It's not gonna be as raw and as clean. So my portion here will get a little bit of fat, and I'm gonna get this fat here, trim a little bit more, and throw this piece of fat with this. So when my wife cooks the biryani Hyderabadi style, it'll have some bones and some fat as well. So we're gonna do the same thing. We're gonna get some bones from here, and we're gonna place it right over here with my meat. And this is like this is a diamond piece. If you know what this is, you know what life is about. Otherwise, you can go rethink life if you don't know what bone marrow is. Bone marrow is the butter of heavens above. All right, drop this a little bit, so we're gonna rinse it, and we're gonna let it dry out somewhere here, and it'll be cut up later. So I'm gonna grab some more beef, and we're gonna do some more chopping. So here's another beautiful fat, right? If you look at this fat piece here, delicious fat piece. And what I'm gonna do now is just slice and dice, make curry sized pieces, because that's what we eat mostly with biryanis for this type of meat. And we've got the steak separated out, so we're gonna portion this out, package this out, and then we're gonna go and give this to the poor and some family, and this will be our Eid then. So Eid Mubarak, everybody. Next Eid, inshallah, we'll have more meat, we'll get closer to the meat, and we wish you the best, and may our slaughter and our prayers be accepted. And thanks.